Okay, today we have a real treat game. This is versus Nurse, the best possible killer to pick in Dead by Daylight. Nurse is a very dangerous killer because she can teleport, and she also usually has the ability to see survivors who are healing. So this combination of perks makes the Nurse an all-round solid killer, probably the best player can choose, but it is also a player with a very high skill ceiling. It takes a pretty good player to master the teleportation, the blink and teleportation capabilities. So, weakness of a Nurse is she tends to the weakness of the Nurse is stealth. She has a slow movement speed. In fact, she's slower than survivors. So a Nurse running in a straight line against survivor will always get away. But at the same time, she relies on her blink. Her blink attacks to get damage. So if you can dodge the blink attacks, then in theory you should have a very good game versus Nurse. So around here is the opening of the game, and we see that Nurse is struggling to find survivors because, as I said, the movement speed is pretty slow, and she in fact fails to pressure any survivor before we pop 3 gens. So there we have a very fast early game, so fast that I decided that this is a good time to invest in opening some chests. So I don't want to be upstairs at the moment in case the Nurse comes and checks on me, but I get a med kit to prepare for the battles ahead. So Nurse manages to get her first down. I need to figure out which direction it is coming from, but there's really no indication at the moment. So this gen's done. This particular survivor, I'm going to try and rescue her, but first I must try not to be seen. So fortunately, the Nurse seems to be busy with my teammate going after her, and somehow my teammate was unhooked but in an unsafe position, so the Nurse immediately downs her once again. So I remain in the area just to see if I can get the unhook. This time I'm in the opposite direction. So I do spot this gen, which I'm going to work on with, but first let's get our teammate out of her hook first. So I need to be sure that the Nurse isn't camping or if she's in the area, because if the Nurse is anywhere nearby, after the unhook she could just teleport backwards and basically get the thing. So with my teammates having done the unhook briefly anyway, so I found my teammate and I healed my teammate. So I didn't go over because my teammate had already done the unhook. So in my opinion, it is a little bit too early, but seems like the Nurse is busy, so we are committing. I managed to get the heal just on time before the Nurse gets a hit on her, so she remains alive but injured. So I try to dodge the Nurse's blink attacks, and here she comes after me. So the most important thing about Nurse is she cannot cancel a teleport. She cannot cancel a teleport when it happens, so one of the tricks to use against a Nurse is to run in her general direction. This way you can catch her Nurse off guard and cause her to miss her next swing. Like you can actually see a play-by-play. Okay, the reason that I'm committing is because the person's nearly healed and it actually saved her life. So Nurse comes after me, And at this point, I do get a hit because I was in the open. There's nothing much I could do. But here, I changed directions, so I was going straight forward at her, so she thought that she would catch me with a forward swing, but instead I swiped to the right, and it caused her to miss. And here, she charges another blink, and instead of going on my straight pattern, I turn around and cause her to lose a lot of momentum. So this actually buys a lot of space, even though she did blink a second time, but it was too slow. And this moment, the nurse seems to have lost sight of me. So I calmly heal myself with a medkit, and we continue to play the game. So I'm looking for the next generator, but it seems to not be in this shack. And I have this perk called Urban Evasion. It lets me crawl through places slowly. Crawl through places quickly, I mean. And you can see I heard the Terror Radius music, so I hide in the bushes. And there she is. There she is. But here she comes back. And right here I decided that this area is just too dangerous, so I try and see if I can find a safer generator to do. And there are many of my teammates in the area anyway, so the last thing I want to do is to be caught. Several survivors down at the same time, which can happen quite easily with a nurse that is in the area. So I try to scout around the map to find a nice corner gen, but it turns out that we kind of like screwed ourselves by doing all the gens on one side. So there are no active generators in that area. The only generators are in the danger zone. But I thought that there might be one in this shack area. So got to the locker just in time. She kicks the gen and she leaves the area. So at this moment, my teammate seems to be AFK for some reason because she didn't respond. This made me a little confused, so I decided, man, I'm not just gonna lose my life to these dumb fucks. And yeah, dumb fucks gone down. So we have one last generator, but all the active generators happen to be in the dangerous area. And what I'm doing is I'm taking the long and circuitous path to avoid the nurse line of sight so that she will not see me going for the rescue. However, my teammate was in the area and she got yeeted just before the unhook. And here we have one of our teammates getting brought to the hook on the hill while the other two teammates are healing behind some cover. But as I said, Nurse does have a perk called Nurse's Calling that allows her to actually see survivors' aura who are healing. Now Nurse does get a hit on me, so I draw her away from the area, and I used Dead Hard to dodge her next swing. But I don't know why my teammates running in that direction. The completely wrong direction, might say. So I double back to get the unhook on my teammate. And right here, I managed to get her just before she enters second stage. But this area is just way too exposed to do healing. So instead of that, I go into a locker just to prevent possible barbecue and chili. But also because there's a gen where she was unhooked. So I felt that maybe we could work on that gen on the hill and finish it. Here there is a totem, so I do the totem. So I don't want to reveal to the nurse necessarily that I'm working on the gen on the hill, because as you can see the 3 final gens are all rather close by. There needs to be some timing for this. And at this moment, I check the area out and she's not nearby waiting to teleport over. So I start the final gen. So hopefully she never comes back, but I do hear the heartbeat. So the nurse seems to be busy, and all I can do is hope that she doesn't come this way. But I can see her in the distance, and my teammates are actually doing the wrong thing. Actually, the teammates should be running in the direction of the completed generators instead of right here, because we could easily throw the game by interrupting our gen progress. So unfortunately for me, my teammates refuse to do that. If they had run in the other direction instead, then we would have easily gotten the final gen popped off. Because of this mistake by the teammates who ran to us, the nurse was able to interrupt the generator instead. So before completing the final gen, I just tap the gen to stop the regression, and then come heal a teammate who unfortunately has not fully recovered. So I vault the window, break her line of sight, and she does not blink in my direction, but she might have been distracted with my other teammate over there. So my teammate does get up, and he does get off. So here is where I try a move that is a little too ballsy. I try to hide underneath here, but the nurse sees me or hears me and manages to get her down. So I should have remained hidden behind the pallets over there, and I very likely would actually not have gotten hit at all. So as you can see, this is my first hook of the game. It's actually uh, it's actually 14 minutes into the game and first hook. That's not too bad at all. Problem is that we are 3 gen ourselves. Third survivor is in an area with no generators, but he is a hero. The second survivor does complete the final gen, and this is where the nurse is putting pressure on the team despite the exit gates being powered. So one of our teammates is self-carrying in a far away corner. The other one, the nurse, is in hot pursuit of her. And frankly, the game is still not over. The end game is not over. So on instinct, the nurse comes back to me, expecting the survivors to come for a rescue, but I gave the signal to my teammates, and they did not come to rescue me, because I could still afford to wait for quite a lot longer since I'm only on the first hope. And I expect the nurse to be coming back again to camp me, just to catch the survivors off guard if they came for the save. But the nurse, for a second time, fails to get anything out of her proxy camping tactic. So now she does go check on the doors, and this is the point where my teammates finally do come and rescue me. This time, nurse is just too far away to do anything about my escape. So unfortunately, one of my other teammates do go down as he's opening the door. Nurse must have caught the teammate. So I continue to run to the exit gates. So the exit gates are actually a very, very long distance away. And I have to travel along the sides to avoid being seen by nurse. If I just go through the center, it's very likely that nurse could intercept me on the way. So I make it to the door, and we are about to make our escape. So at this point in time, my teammates do escape through the other gate. Managed to successfully unhook himself as well. And I've opened this gate. So here we have a rare victory, a very rare victory against a cold-blooded killer. 3 survivors and 1 death. And the only person who died somewhere towards the middle gate. So it was a solid game. Very good game. I managed to actually get 2 pips, which is quite rare. Normally, if you win a game, you just get 1 pip. Sometimes if you don't contribute enough, you get nothing. But performance was good enough to take 2 pips. So she does have this nurse calling, as I expected, allowing her to see auras. But we managed to actually counter her anyway.